Good morning, Taurus. I hope everybody's doing well today. So good to see everybody. I see that the chat room was active a little bit early, so I wanted to get started right on time. I received a lot of channeled messages this morning, and a lot of this is about personal empowerment. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that connects also when we get to the card portion in just a moment. I'm going to let little Apollo get situated. And first of all, I'd like to introduce myself if you're brand new. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. And we'll be looking here today at the sign of Taurus. And I design my readings so that you can always use it for your sun, rising, and moon. Cross-watching is allowed and encouraged. You can watch on behalf of someone else. And all of my readings begin with channeled messages. So you can actually show up to any of them at the beginning and at the end, because chances are there is going to be some relevant information that can come through. The way that I read is that if you show up, the message is for you, basically. So the beginning portion especially is open to a little bit more fluidity. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Let me get into how this is organized. And I'll actually, one other thing I want to talk about, because I'll see the questions sometimes. To that end, you can also watch it, of course, for your sun, rising, and moon. All right, so the way that this is organized is in 4 main parts. The beginning will be a culmination of all of the channeled messages that I have in front of me. And I arrive at that by tapping into my intuition. A lot of times I receive messages in dream. I also will get them as I sit here and do the automatic writing. I'm an author, and writing is a great way to basically access your higher self. So when I put pen to paper or fingertips to the keyboard, it actually allows me to kind of go into a little bit of a trance, and I'm able to get the messages clarified. So that's the first portion. We'll be talking about that. And then afterwards, I'm excited to say thanks to all of my supporters here, especially the YouTube members, Patreon supporters, and anybody who ever hits the little applaud button, which is new, or gives a contribution. I pre-ordered a brand new deck that I'll be using a few times this month, maybe 2 to 3 times. This is called Tarot of the Divine. It's got really beautiful imagery that kind of captures all the different fairy tales over time. I'm still getting to learn the deck because it just came out on the 1st, so I may not be able to identify all the fairy tales, but I'm going to look at the rich imagery, which I think you're going to enjoy. So thank you. I'm trying to, every 2 to 3 months, buy new decks, try new things, and this is a direct result of the kindness of everybody here. So anyway, as I was going to say, we'll be looking at the 4 parts: channeled messages, the cards, which I just talked about here, and I allow for my spread to kind of be organic. So basically, the way that I read is not just a love-based focus. I know a lot of readers out there will spend the entire reading just talking about your person. Well, not everybody's in a relationship, and not everybody wants to focus solely on the relationship. And I think all the work within actually affects all of the relationships around you. So the center part of the spread for me is just going to be showing what's going on. So the Celtic Cross, if we have relationship information, great, but it's also going to be looking at all facets of your life. I pull an extra card or 2 on the side looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny to make sure that we spotlight those areas that everybody cares about. After that, we're going to do a quick summary, and we'll go deeper into something that seems important that I kind of see here across all the messages. I call that the soul path. That's the deeper work that is going to allow you to really not just be successful in the month of October, but for the rest of this year, and maybe even for the next big part of your life. That's what we're trying to do, is set into motion really positive trajectories for everybody. We'll kind of finish up everything with a nice meditation and a sound bath. So a lot in store with that, and to be said, like we need to get started here. So I'm going to begin. Just 2 notes. First of all, welcome to Ryan and Maria. They are my moderators. Moderators are here to answer any questions and also just keep everything safe and in order. So I'd like to say thanks to my moderators. And if you'd like to support me so I can continue to upgrade my decks, you can do so by clicking this little icon here, and that's Super Chat, and you can send a contribution. Some of you notice anyone with green text in the chat, they're actually members, and thank you for all of you for just sticking around and kind of giving back a little bit every month. That helps as well. Okay, let's get started. So there was so much information coming through last night. Actually, as I was going to sleep, it was almost hard to fall asleep. I could kind of feel the energy of this sign. And one of the first things that came through was about communication and being careful about sometimes trying to either push someone or feel sometimes like you are pushed into doing something. Know this: silence, inaction, or generally unresponsive behavior from someone else, it's passive, but it's still a form of communication. Some people have a hard time with direct sort of confrontation or communicating their wants, their desires, or their boundaries. So they just kind of shut off, shut down, or don't respond. So if you feel like there's something else that you need to deal with, that's fine. But it can also simply be a way of saying, I don't want to do it, or I'm not interested in you, or leave me alone. And in that case, what I was seeing energetically was it may be better to do so, because if you continue to push, this can even be for like job seeking right now. If there's no responsiveness from a certain sort of entity or agent or group, that may not be the best place to go, and they're trying to tell you move on. So I always think a follow-up is good, and I think if you have a really good intuition that you need to try a different route, that's great, but maybe don't keep bothering the same person. There might be a better person. They might have given up altogether. So just remember that silence or unresponsiveness or inactivity can be a form of saying enough. Don't push them. They're probably for you is a better match energetically and someone who can better be your advocate. For those of you that do have a manager, an agent, a publicist, or someone that you trust, even like it can be someone in human resources or a lawyer, make sure that that person is the sort of the advocate that you need, that you can trust them, that you can lean on their energy. And if not, then what we're seeing here is there's a chance to release and find a better connection. The other thing that I saw, and it was really weird the way that the visual came to me, it was kind of like a person that was being contorted too much to the point that like they were, like I was hearing bones break. So what I basically saw from that was flexibility is a two-way street. If you do all the bending, you're going to figuratively break. But there can also be actual breaks that happen within you, like a break in your health or in your mental stability. And what's important here to understand is if you're giving 110%, if you're doing your all, and the other person isn't showing up, basically the scales are not balanced, and you don't have to continue on a path like that, okay? So it cuts both ways. Basically, this is about compromise, right? You shouldn't have to do all of the compromising all of the time. If you are, question what you're getting out of this exchange, if that makes sense, right? Basically, what I think for some of you is we're looking at, again, this is about a 6 to 7 week path here because we're reading a little bit early, but this is particularly good because October is going to be, there's a retrograde around the midpoint. It's around the 13th or 14th, depending on what part of the world you're in. And so you want to make sure that you're kind of letting go of some of this stuff prior to the midpoint of the month, because if you are still experiencing some of these issues around like 15th, 16th, 17th, you might feel more of a, I don't know, your temper could flare, the other person's temper could flare, and you're going to have less sort of an ability to be diplomatic. That's the best way that I can put it. So take advantage of the time now to clear that stuff out. So liberate yourself from anyone who wants to hold you back. Balance out power dynamics across all relationships. And if there's someone in your life, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's your partner, if there's somebody who is abusing their position, then this is your chance to speak up. It doesn't have to be a direct confrontation. It can be a question where it's sort of like, how did we end up here? I thought that, we agreed to do this, this, and this, but somehow we're here. Help me understand your thought process. You can try to kind of let them know that you're aware that something's going on. You don't have to accuse, you don't have to point fingers. You can try to sort of open up a conversation. But if you have to speak up in a more direct way, do that, because all of the energy this month is about you being strong, being powerful, being direct. We'll talk more about that in just a second here. In fact, someone may actually call you and say, we want you to weigh in on this. So this could end up being your advice. You could be, or your sort of counsel. It could also be testimony. Some of you might be asked to talk about something that's going on. And the cool thing about this is your opinion could sway the scales one way or the other. You could be the deciding vote. So it's always important to have a seat at the table. We had a deck of cards that I was looking at yesterday, the St. Croix deck, where I think it was the Six of Cups, and we saw like everybody at the table. And I liked that. I like that metaphor. And I think for you, you're definitely not just at the table, but you might be at the head of the table at some point. So you might be asked to stand up. So there's a spotlight on you this month. And don't shy away, because we don't always have a chance to make a difference, to weigh in, to affect what's decided upon. And I think that you have a chance to do that, okay? To that end, subtlety and diplomacy are great. They have their uses, but not at the risk of ambiguity. Mixed signals invite obstacles. Think to yourself, perhaps like the 5 or 7 of swords, where people might be testing your boundaries to see, can I get away with that? Are they really sure that they want me to do this? Like, it kind of invites in that kind of behavior. So when you're direct, you have boundaries and you set expectations, people are less likely to go to that sort of behavior that you would see in that, the sneaky behavior, or the lack of communication, or the lack of transparency. So be decisive, be direct, be clear. The other thing that will help you, and I think this is just about improvement in communication, is take some time. It can't be all business. Now, if you're retired, this is also just about making sure that you're enjoying life. If you're a student, same thing. Take a chance to decompress. But even if you're in the midst of some crazy deadlines, if you're working with a team, it would be nice to have some sort of an icebreaker, basically. Now, in coronavirus times, this gets harder, but this could be a virtual hangout. You could have like a virtual girls or boys night. You could have a virtual, if it's a work event, it could be like a happy hour. But like you're just hanging out a little bit and getting to know each other and talking, and it's not about business. So find a way to break the ice, connect. And when you get to know people that you work with, you're all more invested to do a good job. Same thing in living situations. Getting to know your partner, getting to know your friends, getting to know your neighbors. It could open up allies and sort of connections that you would never have otherwise. So take some time, even from your busy schedule, to it's kind of like common courtesy to get to understand who you're working with, what's going on in their life. For communication as well, this is so vital, because you'll be able to better time certain key communications, especially if there is something that you're trying to either be convincing about. So persuasive arguments really depend a lot of times on, what's going on in that person's life. Is it a good day? Is it a bad day? Have they just gone through a breakup? Are they, getting over the flu? Whatever it is, that's not the day to do it. So the more you know what's going on and the more you understand their point of view, the better you're going to be able to, again, get what you need done. So there's always, it's win-win. They're happier, you're more effective, they feel more supported. So get to know the people around you, especially coworkers. But I think this also is like, your neighbors, your family, your friends. It doesn't matter if you're working or not. I know that not everybody is. Virtual hangouts are also good, especially if you're not working or if you're feeling isolated, especially if you're a senior citizen and you're missing your kids and they're practicing social distancing. So find a way to do it, whatever your favorite platform is. I think this is a good thing. And I try to do it once or twice a month with friends as well, and it does make a difference. Again, this helps break down barriers, your barriers and others, and it helps you just have a happier time doing what you're doing. So if you're willing to lead this month, what my guides were telling me is that people are willing to follow. I guess the question for you is, what is kind of bringing the sense of passion or immediacy or a desire to want to do something? Pick your project, pick your passion, pick your point of view, go after that this month, because your willingness to jump in and initiate is what's going to allow you to be powerful. There's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines that are waiting, and that's what we see in this message here. If you're willing to speak up, then you can really create a nice chain action that wouldn't happen otherwise. To prepare for the retrograde that's coming through, again, it's around the midpoint of the month, really focus on starting and finishing things prior to that. Retrogrades are really good for going back and fixing things or planning, or sort of being retrospective and understanding like what you need to change in the year ahead. It's a little more passive. So for those of you that are watching me in September and not in October, take the next 6 or 7 weeks to really get everything done. And I don't know about you, but I found even just this past weekend, this big push of energy. Saturday especially was a really great time. And I think you're going to continue to see this over the next few weeks. So even if you're watching this video around mid-September, late September, or at the beginning of October, you're still going to have that ability to ride that energetic wave. And I've been talking about that. Get it finished now. Start it or finish it so that once you're in retrograde, you can kind of coast and just do the usual wrapping up and clearing out. Okay. I feel, again, some really great energy. I came into this reading feeling uplifted, so I think it's going to be an exciting month ahead for you, Taurus. All right, I'm going to just get everything organized here. As I'm doing that, let me just talk about how I kind of structure this next piece here. I like to remain quiet when I turn the camera down so that I can focus really on all of the messages that are coming through. After that, I will break down each and every message for you. And don't worry if you miss something. I do a mini review afterwards. So you'll have a chance again to see everything, and sometimes some additional insights are brought up at that point. All right, at this point, I'm going to get started. I'm going to paste the link again for this particular deck. I'll put it on my website later today. So if you're watching this in the future, then chances are it's on my decks page as well. Okay. New deck, so it's a little weird with shuffling. Just give me a second. I'm going to shuffle it a few times. Again, this is called Tarot of the Divine. I'm excited to see how it connects with everybody today. Yeah, this deck features fairy tales and stories from across the world. So every culture is represented. I always like to go for really diverse decks, and this one definitely had that. I see some of the comments rolling in. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being patient. Let's get started. Let's get into the fun part here. Okay. So your catalyst card, what a great card to come through for you. We have Ganesha, which is basically the remover of obstacles. So you may have a retrograde period coming, but Ganesha is here to help us out. And what I said earlier definitely holds true here. If there's something that you feel like you need to do, don't delay. This is a card of action, not inaction. It's all direct energy for your sign this month. And I didn't necessarily, we see a communication card here, and I'll talk about it in a second, but communication can also be nonverbal, or just the same way that silence, inaction, or unresponsive behavior is a form of communication, so is action. So is being demonstrative and kind of walking the walk. So you don't always have to talk to communicate or to be active. So just do what you need to do. That leadership style is also going to get you noticed. So Ganesh is here to say you can get it done, you can get through it. And for me, perseverance is kind of like, that's when I kind of tap into Ganesha type energy. I just keep going at it from a different angle. If I get tired, I take a nap, I try it again in a couple hours. And by persistently showing up it works. I feel like that perseverance is rewarded. So don't give up. Keep looking at it from different angles. I feel like you can get it, and you'll be able to push through it. So 5 of Wands plus Ganesha equals success. Here's what I really am seeing. Okay, let's go to the center. We have the King of Cups. I love that we have this beautiful sort of serpent. So with the King of Cups in reverse, though, my question to you would be, how much, when we were looking at like the flexibility, how much flexing are you doing for other people? Are you bending over backwards? Are you feeling like you're twisting their arms or that they're twisting yours? Because it was kind of like the Impossibles thing. I forget which of the characters was flexible. Was it the mom or something? Whichever one was flexible, that's kind of what I was seeing, was a person doing all these weird contortions. I feel like this takes an emotional toll on you, and you don't want to keep doing that. So find your power. And that's why we have a dragon here. Your emotions are super powerful. When you can get that into a place where you feel confident, where you feel comfortable, then you're going to be able to do so much more. And notice the flexibility. I mean, it's a serpent. It can do whatever it wants. So you have the power to move beyond this. So if that other person isn't flexible, you've done more than enough. It might be time to move on. This can be any relationship. It does not have to be love. It could be a parent, and you're just tired of constantly trying to make them happy. And maybe you're an adult, and it's like, I got to live my own life. It could be a boss where they are kind of like Devil Wears Prada level of difficult, and you just think, I can't do this anymore. Wherever you're at, it's okay if you feel that. State your intent, state your limits, see if they react to that. If not, own your power. You're possibly being held back by someone who is uncomfortable or afraid of you maybe moving on, because you have that power. That's a power symbol straight at the center there, a serpent, a dragon, both of them in one, because it's a water serpent. So you've got it. You've just got to rein in your emotions, if that makes sense, okay? So we have the Hermit on top of this. And the interesting thing with the Hermit for me, it can be a very, I think it's kind of like hidden power. We're talking about that now because you don't always know what's beneath the cape here. And so for many of you, I feel like there's a moment of revelation, a reveal, a big sort of coming out that is upon you. It's kind of up to you when you want to allow that to happen. But notice that that energy within the Hermit is this sort of deer, antelope, whatever it is, that wants to come forth. This is really saying that I think that it's either the latter half of this year or next year. I feel like there's going to be a big shift of energy for you. If you've been feeling like you're in a stasis or you've been feeling stuck, when are you ready? That would be sort of sometimes I like to throw out questions for you to meditate on. What is it that's holding you back from saying, all right, I'll do this? Sometimes we're afraid of success. Sometimes we're afraid of criticism. Sometimes we're afraid of failing. It's sort of different for each person. But once you get past the fear, I see rapid movement with this particular Hermit card. Absent in this particular Hermit is the star. So I feel like the integration has already sort of finished and you are the star. And that's kind of, I always see this as the gateway to the star card. So it's really just a chance now to take off that hooded cape and show your true colors, show your light. As we look at your deep past, we have the Three of Swords. And with this particular Three of Swords, if you look, it was reversed, by the way, but if you look in the background, we see kind of like the shadow of someone else. And it feels like some of you might still be hanging on or clinging on to something, worrying about like, what could I have changed? How could I have made this go differently? And I think sometimes this is just us hurting ourselves because sometimes there is nothing different that you could have done. As I said, if someone is unresponsive, everything that we see here could have created a Three of Swords. Like they ghosted you, basically, kind of like more of a Six of Swords energy that led to the Three of Swords. It hurts, right? But sometimes people aren't strong enough or aren't direct enough to, or comfortable enough. It's not really always about strength. It's just sort of like they don't know how to express themselves. In this particular situation, holding on to the anger is like this other sword here. Are you going to let it go, or are you going to push that in and kind of suffer? You can release some of the pain now. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to beat the other person up. As I said, I think there's a better energetic match for you. And much of the next month or two is going to be really a chance for you to kind of just say, you know what, it's okay. I can do so much better, and I'm ready to do so much better than this. All right. We have the King of Pentacles card here, reversed, but I love this one. This is showing sort of the myth where like a tortoise is the earth, basically. I think that there's a native myth about this one. And if we look at this differently, though, because I also want to just go into the imagery that I'm getting and the messages I'm getting, what I see for you is you have the ability right now to set up your own future that you can really manage. For some of you, this is like entrepreneurial, but what I'm seeing here is like you've got everything that you need to make it happen. I feel like other people may have done a lot of leaning on you for advice, for support, for money. And at this point, there comes a certain point where it's like, but I need something back too in return. It can't all be service. It can't all be giving. And there's an introspective energy this month that is saying, well, maybe it's time for me to focus on going back to school. Maybe I need to focus on just resetting what makes me happy because my grounding is gone. When we look at the tree here, when we look at the world, and you wouldn't always see that energy in a King of Pentacles card, but it is in this one. Something about your grounding needs to be reset. And so I guess I'm challenging you this month to think, what is it that I want to do? What is it that fulfills me? And clearly we've got two really strong, powerful cards here, the King of Cups, the King of Pentacles, but they're not quite balanced out. So I think for you, satisfaction and also a feeling of getting a return on it, not just sort of like, I feel passionate about it, but I'm also feeling like there's reciprocity in this process as well. So whatever you set your mind to this month, you've got it. We have the High Priestess here at the top saying that you are manifesting new things, new situations in your life. So I want you, this is why it's really important, I'm encouraging you to let go of the Three of Swords, because if you keep focusing on the pain, you manifest more of that, or you're sending that energy out. If you focus instead on the healing, it was reversed after all, then you start to create healing and say, I'm strong, I'm powerful, and I'm resolved now to move forward and attract people that are respectful of boundaries, are reciprocating my energy, are excited about partnering up. I'm ready for more. I also want to step into my power now and sort of show who I truly am. It's interesting that we have a lot of veils over the figures this month. Less of a veil on her, much more of a covering here. So what we're starting to see is slow and steady revelation coming through. So don't be afraid to sort of lift the veil and show who you truly are. Of course, it's interesting now with all of us having masks now, it's hard to sometimes see beyond the physical. So we're actually being encouraged to go into the metaphysical to start to be able to judge situations and people more. We don't have the face-to-face contact. We don't have in-person contact a lot of times. And so our intuition is deepening. For me, I've noticed this year in particular, it's like catapulted into my third eye, all kinds of new information, to the point that sometimes I can't sleep at night because there's so much coming through. If you open yourself up this month, you might see that you can also channel that energy and have the same sort of gains that I've been experiencing with productivity. So that card is saying you've got the power right now, especially with creative endeavors, to do great things. And even though we have a retrograde coming, you can get a lot done in advance of that. All right, it's interesting how the court cards, a lot of the court cards were reversed. Most of the other ones weren't. We have the Knight of Cups also reversed. And what's interesting here, though, I want to pull it in the upright position, is how this knight is trying to kind of go through water. I don't know a lot about horses, but I know that they don't really like water. I feel like for many of you, there's a chance to take a different path and to make sure, and maybe this is a donkey, but irrespective of that, I know most animals don't want to go straight into the water. So I would say for you, you really want to focus right now on, is there a better way? Is there a better path? And also what I'm seeing when I'm looking at that card is, don't get in the thicket or in the emotional sort of depths of someone around you who is kind of going through a really tough time. Could be a family member, could be a coworker, could just be someone that you know, but they're kind of pushing this energy around you. So this card is saying, I need to get out of that. I need to move beyond that and listen to the warning signs here. We have, I I guess it's an eagle or something, basically coming in, hawk or eagle, saying this is your moment. It's time to move on. So really pay attention to the intuitive downloads that you're getting, and I think that that's going to be key here. This is a beautiful 10 of Wands here because it's showing a period of growth after a period of stagnation or loss. We have that skull at the bottom of the tree. And I know there are certain cultures and religions that will put ashes or remains in the ground and then plant a tree as a sort of a way of honoring that soul. Think in your life, though, this can be much more of a metaphor of taking something that maybe was a source of pain or discomfort and sort of putting it to rest and saying, I'm ready now to build a firmer foundation on that. I talked to Aries yesterday about the past, saying that the past influences, but it doesn't define you. And I think for you, you could actually say yes to that, but I also want to own some of those experiences and say, I'm glad it happened because I'm stronger for it. I came through that. This is growth after death, basically. This is rebirth, is what we're seeing in this 10 of Wands. A typical 10 of Wands would show someone walking towards a destination. I feel like you already know where you need to be, or maybe you've already gone there. This is about now really putting in some roots and saying, okay, let's get this started. So I see a very fruitful change on the horizon for you. If you're holding back because of fear or uncertainty, I would say we always have a sort of degree of that, but everything that is showing up this month is about power. You have a lot of court cards, the King of Cups, the King of Pentacles, also the Knight of Cups. And I think that if you can get behind what you're trying to do, great momentum is coming. I see leadership here because High Priestess is in the crowning position and she's saying, I have a vision. Do you want to listen? If you can really convey your idea to others, I think that you can be very, very, very strong in this. So. Okay, we have the 10 of, okay, right above the 10 of Wands, sorry, we have the Queen of Swords. And for the Queen of Swords, what I see for you is a chance now to be very, very direct. Again, all of your power cards are in the reverse state, which is interesting. So I think what you want to be focusing on is how can I get my point across, not be afraid to say what I need to say, but also not cause an unnecessary sort of argument or confrontation. Sometimes there is power in letting people choose their own path, letting them go. Just like a Queen of Wands in reverse sometimes has a tendency to want to nurture, or Queen of Pentacles nurture, Queen of Wands manage. Queen of Swords sometimes wants to say what's on their mind. And I would say for this, state what is needed, state what your sort of, again, boundaries or ideas are, but you don't have to boss someone around. If they don't want to follow through, let them go, let something else happen. And then you don't have to then get into something personal with the Queen of Swords reverse. That's the only place where you can get into trouble. So right above this, speaking of which, we have the 10 of Swords. A lot of reversals, but since we're going into a retrograde, that makes sense. This is what I was seeing a little bit of in my dreams and meditations last night. We noticed in this one, the swords are kind of causing the unnecessary pain that you would normally see. And they even kind of seem to have the like arrows or daggers here. So when we communicate, I really want you to pay attention to how can I elevate the message? If there is something critical, I need to be constructive. If there is something critical, but it's not going to help, do I need to say it at all? This isn't a time to try to get the last word in. There's nothing to be gained by that sometimes. It's just Three of Swords energy. So instead of trying to get that last word, instead focus on putting that to rest and creating your growth and abundance. Sometimes the best way to get even, if I don't believe in that, but it's just to prove that you've got it under control. Be successful, be happy. That evens the scales. Let's talk of it like in that sort of symbology, because otherwise, if you're trying to focus on retribution, you're not really kind of walking the higher walk. I had an editor that I was working with for it was last year before I finished up the drafts of my novel. And they were trying to get me to put in a revenge theme. And I'm like, no, it's not about revenge. It's about forgiveness. And that was part of the reasons that I parted paths, because It's for you, I think, what are you doing? You could look at it this way. If there's someone in your life and they're driving you crazy and you feel like you just want to spill all of this stuff out, what is it that's triggering you? Why is this person there? And what happens if you stop talking to them or stop connecting with them? Your silence and inaction can also be a way to say, I don't want to do that. I usually am a favor of direct, but if that person then comes back with barbs or tries to kind of like get you to respond, you don't have to do that. So choose a higher path, be direct, don't say something that you're going to regret or someone else will regret, and then just move forward. That's why we have kings and knights at the center. They're saying, come on, you've got this, go forward. Your outcome card is 5 of Cups, also reverse. With this particular card, I think we want to focus on what's possible, and letting it go, letting the pain go, I think is okay. There's a lot of healing that can happen for your sign this month if you let it. And one of the key cards that was upright was the High Priestess. And she's saying, let's get this together, right? The High Priestess and the Hermit are there to kind of help you out and say, why are you focusing maybe so much on what's going on around you? This is your month. This is your time to really take the reins and make something happen, okay? Let's go ahead now and expand it. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and I will periodically revisit everything that we just looked at with some new perspective. Your health card here is happiness is my birthright. And it is. We lose that along the way some way, and that card was also reversed. And so what I'm seeing with this is, I don't know maybe who has told you in your life or made you feel that only through pain, only through suffering, only through maybe even martyrdom is progress possible. Like in the 80s, there was this workout theme where it was like, no pain, no gain. Actually, we realized, no, you should be listening to your body and you shouldn't push it past the point of extreme pain. So I want you to allow for that joy to come in. I was also hitting upon that in the channeled messages where I said, you know, a good leader allows people to take a break, isn't sort of stepping in and constantly asking questions about everything that they do. Have some fun, allow there to be a little bit of give. And again, like I said, it's give and take. There should be reciprocity. But when I'm talking about give here, it's sort of like a rope. When I walk my dog, I don't have a really, really tight leash. I trust him a little bit so there's some room so that he can kind of sniff around and look at things. So you want to allow for the same energy of people in your life. Release the cords. Let there be more slack. I don't need to know everything that's going on with you. You take care of that. I'm going to even maybe pull this one out. You've got it. And that can be a way of releasing it. Right, Apollo? All right. So that's basically what I'm seeing there is allow yourself to be happy, release some of the cords. And let's take a quick look at some of the cards here again. I think the main thing, because it's at the heart of everything, is the King of Cups here. Are you happy? Are you feeling tapped out? Are you giving too much? If you are, it's probably time to step back. Same thing with the King of Pentacles. The other thing with King of Pentacles is it's just about not overdoing it in any realm of kind of focus. So whether it's working out too hard, like I was talking about, eating too much, eating too little, just avoid the extremes. And I think you're going to be okay. And if you're having any chronic pain or fatigue, the fact that we actually see like the back here with all that weight on it, I really want you to pay attention to how you are, what your posture is, how you're carrying weight. If you have like a backpack or a briefcase or a heavy purse, you really want to look at the distribution of weight and balance in your body and get a chiropractic workout or like a massage or something. Get everything aligned. And I think that's going to be really, really key for you. Okay. With response to wealth here, we have Cloak of Wisdom, and that's what we see at the center with the Hermit. It says, you already know the answer you seek, trust what you know. And as an intuitive, this card, definitely I can relate to it because a lot of times I do know I need to do this now. Sometimes it helps me to hear it from a trusted source. This is one of the cards that's upright. It's really pushing through and saying, if you've been thinking about something persistently and consistently, and it just keeps coming through your mind, you need to pay it some attention this month. And this is the Cloak of Wisdom. This is the Hermit. This is that sacred energy. You've already done the integration. When you're going to take the action that we see behind it, right? Also with respect to wealth. Wealth to me is your self-confidence. It can be your money. It can be your relationships at work. A couple things I want to focus on before we move on to the next one. So This is a time for you to take the reins of power back, as we see with the High Priestess, and speak up. For many of you, if we were to elevate the Queen of Swords and bring her upright, this is your chance to basically be a singular voice. And we have so much, or we've had so much like homogeny, or basically similarities in messaging right now. I think what you want to do is think, how can I be a little different? How does my voice, not like your physical voice, but what you're saying with it, how does my point of view, that kind of voice, differ? And what can I do to be heard? Do I want to change policies at work? Do I want to change politics in the world? Do I want to add another voice to something creative like books or music or movies? What can I do to put this point of view out there? It's reversed, so it shows me there's some subtlety and there's some, like, I think maybe even a reluctance for you to share that. But once you do, I think some exciting things could happen for you. Positive changes and positive movement in whatever it is that you are passionate about. So your voice is your power, your leadership is your power, and that's what we saw a few moments ago when I was looking at the channeled messages. By the way, don't overwork yourself this month. With both the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords, we see that you've maybe had a habit of doing that in the past, because we see the skull here, and then we see what can be burnout in this particular deck, and even just card in general. So 10 of Wands can lead to the 10 of Swords, especially if I was looking at a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because you see the person carrying the load. In this deck, it's kind of illustrated by what we see here in the King of Pentacles. So if you're carrying too much, you're not going to be able to move forward. I think what might be necessary this month is to delegate, to let go, to ask for help. It's a sign of strength. And a lot of times, especially now, companies that are understaffed because of the pandemic, they've cut down to an unreasonable staff. Like there's one person answering maybe hundreds of calls, or, you know, or you're maybe one of two people that's in a store and there's a big line. It's stressful. If you can't do it at a certain point, you've got to ask for some assistance, speak up, or look for other things, or a way to release that stress, because otherwise that'll elevate. And we need to be strong, mind, body, and spirit, so that we don't kind of like invite in some of the stuff like coronavirus. How you feel here and in your mind, body, and spirit is going to be really, really important. So don't let it kind of get off balance. Let's look at love and relationships. We have Guinevere here, true love. Interesting thing with Guinevere is there was a love triangle with that, right? Romantic stirrings in your heart have propelled the universe to deliver the great love for you. I would say with this, don't settle, because that's why I'm seeing at least two. And we have two partners here. Actually more than that, because there's a lot of different court cards coming through. You have options. So be discerning in your relationships this month. If you're in a married or a partnership, a long-term partnership, I would say for you, really work on kindling that flame. If you feel like you're with your soulmate, with your true love, if you are like Arthur and Guinevere, then really cherish that person and connect on a soul level. If you're not, if you're feeling like somehow I have lost that sort of passion or that flame, this is a chance to go back there and to try to meet your partner. The flexibility energy that I talked about holds true though for this. If you're doing all of the flexing, all of the work, all of the empathizing, then at a certain point, it's kind of like, I can't give anymore. I need to see you showing up. So remember that the nonverbal cues also speak volumes. You may find yourself in a situation where you're torn between two people, where you're wondering, you know, am I ready to commit? And I think that you and only you can answer that. But I think the important thing here, your litmus test this month is it unrequited? Is it reciprocated? Does it feel right? What can I do to kind of like make sure that the balance is there? If the balance is there, I think you're in a good place. If it's not, this is showing you that you have options. What you choose to do with the options is up to you. You really want to avoid unnecessary conflict this month. I didn't like what I was seeing in my visions, because even though sometimes it's just a symbol, I didn't like seeing the person contorted. They looked hurt to me and I could feel the pain. So pain takes many forms, and abuse takes many forms too. Sometimes people can be verbally abusive, they can be physically, they can sometimes just hold you back and not let you have the freedom that you need. So whatever form of restriction you're seeing, like, advocate for people, help them out of that, get out of it if you're in it. And if you're someone who's not allowing someone to be they're all, like that's not good either. So this is a month to liberate. I had that word in caps and kind of bigger. Liberate yourself, liberate others. In that freedom comes the ability to grow and move on, and comes the energy that we see here. You can take the ashes and rise up like a phoenix here, or grow from your experiences, and you're not destined to repeat the past. The past is a foundation. It's not a definitive sort of function of who you are. And it's interesting that in the destiny card, I have destiny and astrology. So what I'm seeing with this, it's basically saying that you're showing up today to make a difference. You always have the ability to change your future. I don't think everything's set in stone. I think that we have a calling. We have milestones. There are certain things that we've called in to experience in this lifetime, namely like the things that we can't control, the family that we were born into, the culture that we were born into, the language that we were taught. Those were things that we kind of pre-programmed and said, I want to experience those and I can't change them. But almost from the time that we are an adult, like let's say 18 and above, there's a lot of free will. So this is really encouraging you to exercise your free will and connect with your soul's purpose. I forget the client that I was reading for the other day, but one of the questions that they were kind of talking about was just about like, will this be successful? And my sort of note to them was, are you happy with what you're doing? And does it feel like it's the right thing to do? Don't focus so much on the external accolades. And I talked to Aries a little bit about this as well. I would say the same thing is true for you. You have something that's really great that you can share with the world. Focus on your singular voice, your energy. That's what I'm interested in. Who cares if everybody else gets it? Usually the mainstream is way behind the curve, right? They don't understand something amazing until it's already come and passed. So I want you to do the important work now, and don't wait for other people to catch up to you, okay? What I'm seeing for you if we go to I'm gonna look at the three most powerful cards here for you. Your crowning one is the High Priestess. This is telling me that what you see, what you believe, what you project, we worked on the projection yesterday with Aries. Your third eye, your mind is like that projector. It's really very visible to others this month. At least, they may not see the exact images, but they're picking up on your energy. Your ability to come back after a setback, amazing. And finally, I would say for you, it's a choice of when to reveal and when to move forward. To me, the change seems inevitable. This is almost a little bit of death here too, death in the star. And the star always has to kind of have that moment. It's like a supernova moment. So I feel like you can rise above the ashes. You can take all these experiences and become something more. The question is, when are you ready to do so? Let's move into the review, and then we'll go into the soul path portion. All right. So the first message that I received this morning was about silence or inaction. And as I said earlier, that kind of passive communication is communication nonetheless. So silence, inaction, or unresponsiveness, all of these things are basically the same way of saying no or I'm not interested. So you don't have to be a part of that if you don't want to. The next thing that we see here is not to push someone if they're not showing mutual interest. You can do better. And that was the next card here. There's a better energetic match for what you're trying to accomplish. After that, I mentioned the flexibility visual that I had. Don't contort yourself to try to make something happen. Again, if someone is really keen on being a part of this, they're going to be reciprocating your thoughts, your energy, your insights. Liberate yourself. That was the capital and bold face kind of thing that I was talking about here. This is your chance to cut those cords, especially in advance of retrograde. Because if by mid-October you haven't done that, Taurus, there's going to be some challenges that step in, and then that's when you can step into what we're seeing. Notice how Ten of Swords is not in a definitive state here. This is in the possibility state. So you can avoid the Ten of Swords by liberating. There's some other things like by being direct, which we talked about as well. Balance power dynamics across all of your relationships this month. If you're giving too much, doing too much, saying too much, let it go, because saying too much with the Queen of Swords can get you in trouble. If there is an abusive power or a lack of leadership, speak up. Maybe step up too, and you might be the new leader, right? And I see someone commenting, you cannot, it is your mother. I understand there are some points in your life where it's more difficult. I would say just stay true to what's important to you. And if there is a point in your life that you can exert your freedom, you need to do that. You may find yourself in the spotlight. For those of you at work or at school or in a similar sort of situation, this is your chance where someone may tap you and say, hey, we value your point of view, or you've seen something. We want to understand what your thoughts are on that. Step into that. That doesn't happen all the time. Your advice, counsel, or your testimony could be the deciding vote. It could also be what basically changes the future for others. Your voice really does matter now more than ever. Subtlety has its uses, and I'm a big fan of diplomacy and using your words, but there are some times where you have to just say what you need to say, right? And until you do that, if you're ambiguous, it actually will create sort of like this hotbed or this energy that will allow in, like I said, the Seven of Swords, sneaky behavior. So when you are decisive, direct, and clear, they'll move on. It's sort of like locking your door versus not locking your door. If there's someone that's trying to break in, they're going to get into the easiest sort of path. So the more that you make it difficult for someone to step on your feet, the less likely they're to do that. They are to do that. You notice that nice people, people that are too sort of allowing of energy sometimes get stepped on for that reason. So it's good to have some boundaries. It doesn't make you not nice either. It just makes you strong. So allow for those boundaries to be put into place. You're going to have to do it, and it may take time to reprogram. Sometimes it takes leaving an environment too, because if you've been in a place where you've just set up this energy of you can ask me anything and I'll do anything, then to redefine yourself, it may be more difficult than you think. But with that and future experiences, I think you have to start somewhere. So use no. Try saying no if you can. Get to know the people around you, whether they're coworkers, neighbors, family, or friends. This is going to not only make you feel happier, but you're all going to get along a heck of a lot better, right? Do a virtual hangout if you need to. I'm well aware of social distancing and health concerns, but I Skype with some friends in LA and Chicago a couple times, not every month, but I would say we try to do it once a month. Sometimes it's happened twice a month. Whenever your schedule allows, try to do that hangout. And it really does make a difference. It makes the other person feel like they're not alone as well. And this will help you break down your barriers and their barriers. And it's just going to feel more fluid as you start to work together in the future. In preparation for retrograde, finish stuff, start things, start and finish as much as you can before the midpoint of October so that you can coast through that. By the time, I think it's around the 3rd of November, things start to ease up, but I want you to not have to sort of be starting something big in the middle of that energy. If you're willing to step up, others are willing to follow. Your power is also in your actions and your willingness to take action. It's not just in the words that you say. So I believe that, all of us can benefit by really focusing on that. Ganesha just yelled at me over here and said, don't forget me. So the other thing here is you can make it through anything. This was our catalyst, so it's okay that I'm kind of wrapping up with the catalyst here. I want you to focus on remembering that you can do whatever you need to do. You just have to set your mind to it, right? And as a quick review of the rest of the cards, balance out your emotional state. If you can believe in yourself, then anything is possible. But sometimes we get clouded by other people's energy. So the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups really are feeding into each other. For some of you, you are knee deep in everybody's business or emotions. And I would say step back, figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it. And also delegate a little bit. That's what we saw with all of these cards here in the center, like let go of other people's troubles, focus on balancing out key relationships, and then delegate some of the work, because you've got a lot of work to do and you've got a lot of momentum that's waiting for you. And once you kind of do that, then the blocks disappear. And so thank you, Ganesha, for speaking up. 3 of Swords in the past, it's really important to let go of what was, because as we see here with the 10 of Wands, you can move past it. You can allow something that was difficult to be sort of like this fertile ground. Fertilizer, if you want to. Take something that's not so good, use it as fertilizer and think like, I'm going to grow from this experience. And then you start to create. And that's the main energy that you want to focus on. Queen of Swords saying be direct, but as we see here with the cautionary note of the 10 of Swords, not too direct, Focus on what you can control, what's good, what you still have that really brings you a sense of joy. Don't focus on all the drama. And this Five of Cups is what I'm really seeing for some of you is there's a lot of noise that came through. What you want to do is stay a clear channel this month so that you can rise above that, so that you can see some action. The Knight of Cups is great, and he's even carrying a communication symbol right here with the bird of prey. And we see that now with the Queen of Swords here. So your message wants to get out there. These three in a diagonal are really showing your strength. High Priestess, Knight of Cups, and the Queen of Swords. So once you allow yourself to clear yourself energetically and emotionally, great things happen. Make sure that you don't distill or water down or homogenize your message. Keep the main sort of idea to that, especially if you're an artist. And if it's just a general communication, again, you have to be direct. You can't kind of water it down too much. It's good to be happy. It's good to have fun. Playing is a part of working. Make sure that you're setting up that balance. With other relationships in your life, I see a lot of choices here. We have a lot of court cards, which to me can show maybe too many people. Some of you are pulling back a little bit because it's sort of like, I need my time. I need to sort out what I want. I think that's a good message here is, what do you want? What are you looking for? How can you create that? With wealth, we have Cloak of Wisdom, which for me is really about knowing that you don't need any more sort of divination. If you want to change your job, change your job. If you're ready to do something for personal development, like King of Pentacles going back to school, you have not just permission, but like encouragement from the universe. So whatever it is that's kind of been nagging at you, I think this is the time to do it. The other message with health, and it connects with wealth, is not to overdo things. Don't work yourself into a place of exhaustion with 10 of Wands leading into 10 of Swords. With love, again, choices abound. Are you happy? Is your partner giving you the same energy that you're giving them? Are you maybe falling short? I can't help but see other people in the picture with Guinevere. So how are these other people either helping or hurting your relationship? So I think it's getting to the core relationships that you care about, focusing on healing those and not worrying so much about other people and not comparing yourself so much to other people. So whether you're single and happy, single and looking, or partnered up, what we're seeing with this card is, how do you feel and how do you feel in your partnership? If you have one, that's all that matters. The other stuff is just distracting. You always control your own destiny. Free will is the strongest thing that you can kind of tap into. And so I want to kind of connect this to this as we look into the future when we're looking at the soul path. So let's get into the soul energy. We're a little bit ahead today, which is good. That means we'll have plenty of time for meditation as well. All right, so we're going to focus on the past. I want to help you release the pain here. We have the Three of Swords here. Again, what is it or who is it that's kind of taking some of your power? And notice that you can even see sort of like that energy, that thought energy that's kind of ricocheting in your head. Feels like some of you have already moved past that. And so this could just be, is there any additional clearing that needs to be done? So what can we do to help you really step into your power when it comes to emotions this month? Actually, I'm drawing to the bottom here. So we have the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups for me is, again, we're looking between 4 and 5 of Cups. Sometimes there's a hidden blessing. So are you ready to see or listen to your higher calling? If we look at this one, the hidden cup is right behind the main figure here, and we see a little bird in there. So for me, that is also the voice in the back of your head saying, you know what you need to do. It's okay to move on. I'm ready for this, or I want to try this. I want you to follow your heart's desire this month. So it's okay. It's right. It's the time is also ripe for you to make that change. I feel like you're receiving messages. So with the Four of Cups, that message, I said subtlety has its purpose. Sometimes the universe is too subtle, right? But we have to really quiet our thoughts and ourselves down to notice it. So for some of you, like, again, I literally hear whisper. We picked one up on a mic last month with Cancer. Sometimes it's a little whisper that I'll get from my guides, and I have to really listen, or that whisper is too subtle. Sometimes it's the thought. And sometimes I just feel like I need to do this. There's no thought. It's just like I have to do it. So that it could be that subtle. It could also be someone here. We're talking about the sort of energy of a new love in your life for some of you. You can't see the new love until you let go of the old one. There's a ghost in some of your past. So it could also just be loving yourself. But there's something in the past where until you let go of that, you can't see like what's literally smack dab in front of your face, because the Four of Cups can be that literal. Sometimes the cup's right there. Sometimes the person's right there. The opportunity's in front of you, but your mental acuity is not present because you're focusing on the past. So it's kind of like Janus, the two-headed god that looks in the future and the past. It's almost as if he closed the eyes on the front and he's only looking on in the back. So we want you to be open in both, and maybe at a certain point close that and start to focus on what's in front of you. So that's what my guide showed me on that one. Let's focus on the central energy, King of Cups, and connecting it with the High Priestess. How can you take your passion and manifest? Time to make a change, right? We've got the Tower reversed, perfect metaphor for the upcoming retrograde. A reversed Tower is actually somewhat auspicious because it means that you have knowledge of the changes and you knowingly or wantingly step into it. It also means that if faced with an unexpected shift, you have the power to make something happen. I did happen to read the guidebook on this one because it caught my attention. I'm like, what's coming down from the Tower? This is actually... is it Rapunzel, the one that throws down her hair? Basically, it was her choice to get out of there. So if there's something that you feel stuck with in your life, don't be afraid to allow for new love to come into your life. That's possibly what we see here with Guinevere. You have to let that person come in. You also have to get out of whatever it was that was safe. If we think back to like Twisted, which most of us are more familiar with, if you're trapped in that ivory tower, then how are you ever going to get to see the world? Sometimes we protect ourselves in that hermit phase, right? And so this is your chance to sort of say, this has suited me well. It's safe, but it's not real. And there's opportunities out there. I'm willing to open myself up. I'm willing to try new things. I want to get out and see the world. That's what I liked about the adaptation Twisted. She really did want to see the world. She was tired of that. So if there's something that you want to create or want to do, follow your heart, take an active role, be the rebel, go after it. You can do this. And when you kind of like throw out your thought or your idea, other people will want to pick up on that. This is showing me receptivity, which you would rarely see in a Tower card. The Tower moment here is basically, are you willing, are you ready to say, hey, I want this, or hey, are you interested, or hey, come up and see me, whatever it is that you're trying to invite in, the universe is waiting for you to kind of like put yourself out there. So put yourself out there. Okay. Let's take a look at the future. And I really want to focus in free will on this one because we saw destiny in your destiny position. So let's see. We have the Eight of Pentacles here. And with the Eight of Pentacles, I love this card. This is going to allow you to step into creating the best future you can. This one makes me laugh because it feels like the person is getting caught up in the weeds of sort of like, I just wish I was finished, right? For those of you that have gone through, it doesn't matter if it's high school or college, sometimes it's that last semester of the last year where you just think, is this over yet? What I want you to do right now is to focus on not getting sort of angry or frustrated. Look at the beautiful work that you've done and realize how amazing this is going to be to set you up for the future. This will be done soon and you'll be able to grow from this. So whatever your Eight of Pentacles moment is, it could be literally training yourself, learning, knowledge expansion. It could be the School of Hard Knocks. It could have been a really difficult life situation. You've gained everything that you need from it. You're going to take that Tower moment and say, I'm ready to leave now. And now you're really thinking, okay, it could have gone better, but I learned so much and I'm not going to repeat that again. This is basically showing me a completion. For some of you to get to the Three of Pentacles, which would actually be mastery, it's just, can I appreciate the process a little bit more than I am? Because there is an undeniable frustration in this Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is one of my favorite cards. This one makes me laugh because it's sort of like, we've all been there. I'm wrapping up a big project right now, and there are days sometimes where I'm like, there's so many details, right? I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and I get it, especially if you're kind of managing your own project. But if you can get to the joy of, but I'm going to be able to share this, that's great. Or for you, maybe I can ascend above, maybe I can grow from this, that's great. So reset your goal, get the bird's eye perspective. We see all of the birds flying up in the air behind her, and focus on, where am I headed? Why am I doing this? How is this going to help me? All right, I've got this. Let me just push through it. Ganesha is there to say, you can do this as long as you understand the bigger purpose. Does that make sense? So let's look one more time at the soul path, and then we'll get into the meditation. I don't think being Taurus is a pain. It's my it's part of my chart. I'm a Capricorn ascendant. I'm a Taurus moon. I'm a Libra sun, and I think Taurus is a great sign because it gives you the energy to push through things. It can be like, I like that when I put my mind to something, it gets done. The Capricorn energy helps me finish it, but it's the Taurus stuff that makes me push through the stuff I don't like. So Taurus, whoever said that being Taurus is a pain, no, it's not. Being Taurus is a blessing because you can get stuff done. You can lead, you can push things. So remember, you're the high priestess here. Don't say stuff like that. If it's a pain, if you want it to be, I think it's a blessing. So I don't agree. All right. This is the Four of Cups that we're talking about. Are you missing the blessing right in front of your face? There could be a love interest. There could be a career opportunity. There could be something amazing. It is there if you see it. It's not there if you don't. Taurus, with your Tower card in reverse, this is a chance for you to step out of possibly even self-limitation, right? And she always had the ability to call for help or to find a way out of that tower, but it required some kind of a willingness to take that leap on her part. So even if people have told you that you can't, I'm telling you today that you can, and don't give up. Basically, there's a little bit of frustration in this, and really what I see with the Eight of Pentacles is perseverance. It's totally worth the return that you put into this effort. Whatever you're going through, it's going to be worth it, okay? Let's focus now on a beautiful meditation, and I want to help you get into positive energy, get into the high priestess and being able to really project what's possible, and possibly going into this sort of energy of moving beyond a limit. It might be easier to think of growing or rising from the ashes, but we'll play around with all of these and see what comes through. Okay, let me get the sound set up here, the singing bowl set up. As I'm doing this, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody here. We've got a good amount of people here. I'd love for you to hit like and subscribe before we start to meditate, because sometimes at this point, it gets difficult to focus. So hit like and subscribe. It helps other people find this. And stick around. We'll do a little wrap up afterwards. But I like to do this free sound bath and meditation to help us integrate and get past any blocks that I see. And it'll only take a couple of minutes, but it's a great healing exercise. All right, so get comfortably seated if you haven't already done so. And at this point, I would love for you to see yourself in the forest. I really want to work with the energy of the tree. We also see sort of like the tree on the back of this turtle. So allow yourself to be in a beautiful meadow, beautiful grove, and give yourself this chance now to just feel like you're disconnected from all the stresses of day-to-day life, whether it's your emails, whether it's just the thoughts in your head or people around you complaining. As you're out here in the forest or in the meadow, all you're hearing is the gentle sound of the leaves of the tree moving in the wind. You can hear the birds in the distance. And you just feel this sense that if you sat here long enough, you probably would just drift to sleep because it's relaxing. You're disconnected. If you want to even see yourself in a hammock or something like that, that's fine. But for this moment, try to connect with the trees. I think that's going to be the most powerful thing that you can do. And maybe find a tree that you feel most called to. I'm thinking of a redwood here in California, something that stretches up and has been in this world, maybe hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's been through good times, bad, cool weather, hot weather, changes of politics, changes of attitude. In this sort of sense of stability, you also find your core, you find your grounding. And I want you really to connect with the trunk and the roots of the tree. And in this moment, if there's something that you don't want or need, feel free to allow the tree to absorb it and to ground it for you. Just as we saw in that illustration, you can honor this, and it can almost be a place for you to lay it to rest. And imagine that as you do this, as you kind of symbolically connect with the tree and you say, take this from me, take this energy, I offer it to you as an offering of appreciation, recycle it, renew me in the process. And as you take a deep breath, knowing that the breath is also an offering to the tree, it literally gives it life. Imagine that the tree is now reaching down with one of its branches and giving you a seed, like an acorn that you can plant something new, that you can do something new with. I want you to hold this seed close to your heart. And I want you to imagine, what does the future hold for me? What do I want to create? If I'm in that tower, what am I going to do to get away from it? What am I going to do to break the foundation down and build something stronger for me? If I'm in the middle of some sort of difficult task or study, what can I do to kind of ground myself in the overall purpose and see how it's going to positively affect my future? So I want you to focus on this little seed and realize as you're looking at it, it starts to sort of glimmer, it starts to shine and sparkle. And this isn't just a seed, it's sort of like a star seed, if you will. This is going to be your future. And I really want you to imbue it with your dreams, your hopes, your ambitions, and your life energy. We'll do something special with the seed in just a moment. As I play the sound bath here, the singing bowl, I want you to just allow for light and energy to start to pulse in this symbolic seed, and then we will plant it in just a moment. Imagine that you're holding this seed that you've now breathed life into. Literally, as you were breathing, you were putting your energy into it. And I want you now to hold it in front of you and imagine that the star-like energy that you've been imbuing into this is starting to allow it to elevate, to levitate, and it's moving towards the stars. You're sending your dream, you're sending your wish, you're sending this little piece of you into the cosmos saying, I'm ready now to create. And it's going to go up there and join the stars and join the constellations and be a North Star, a guiding light for you in all the nights and days and weeks to come. You can look up to your higher self and say, remind me, ground me in this purpose and help me see why I'm there and show me the path, shine the way. Because now that you've released it, now that you've set an intention, it's just, it's in the future. It's waiting for you to catch up. And how quickly you catch up and how you choose to do so is up to you. But it's there now. That's the power of manifestation. Once you've decided I'm going to do this, all you have to do is do it. And it happens. So release now this feeling of will it, can it, how will it happen? You're going to figure that out. That's the Ganesha energy that came through where you just keep pushing, you keep trying, and the path will be revealed with the 4 of Cups that we saw. look around, look up, look down, look within. Make sure you're not missing something. Take a nice deep breath, inhale. Let's use your hands because you were holding that soul energy. Rub it together, really feel the heat, the warmth, the connection that you have to your higher self. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that, and really own that power and that energy that is always part of you. You always have that divine right, that divine connection, but sometimes it gets lost because we lose focus, right? When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, come back to the present. And I just want to say thank you. It was a beautiful reading today. Some really great energy and information came through. I was looking forward to it. Even last night, I thought something amazing will come through because I'm having a hard time going to sleep. I could feel your sign wanting to kind of communicate. So that always portends good things. I actually am one of the few people that doesn't fear retrograde either. So what I'm trying to do for all of you is kind of set you up so that the month ahead is exciting. It's a chance for you to release. And I think that also complete things. So this is a time where if you do have something big, you can also let it go. So if there is something that you want to launch, it's not ideal in retrograde, but it still works. I've done that. I'll continue to do things like that. So because it starts with RE, so you can release something. The key thing is that the main work needs to be done. So if there's something in your life and you want to get it finished, don't worry about it. Just get it started now and allow for the completion or the release to happen next month. For anybody that has been kind enough, I saw during the meditation, there were some more super stickers or super chat. Thank you so much. When this goes live on replay, I will put a little thank you there. There's also a new feature. I need to put a little sheet so I can show what it looks like, but there's an applaud button. So if you happen to be watching this on replay, you can do the equivalent of a super sticker by clicking the applaud button. I think it's like $1.99 or $2, and it's a way to support the channel. Again, you guys helped me get this deck, and I was doing some research. I've been waiting for this for a few months. Again, it's called Tarot of the Divine. So thank you so much for allowing me to expand my library. I'm going to continue to do this every couple months as I can. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, and I hope you will, let me just show you my website. Everything that I'm going to talk about is here. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. And you can get to that on mobile or on web by clicking on my picture and going to the About tab. And all these links are there, by the way. So please follow me on social media. My username across everything is Nicholas Ashbaugh. So, and everything except Twitter. So most major platforms, even if I didn't list them here. But I actively use Instagram and Facebook, and I put the links into the upcoming videos there in the stories. Don't follow my personal one, follow my professional one, because that's the only one that I can put the link in for Facebook. But basically, that's a great way to remember what's being kind of shown on what day. YouTube, I do stories as well, and I use the community tab. I also post the stickies to the community tab, and now I put them on Instagram and Facebook because you guys seem to like the notes that I put out here. So these main 3 platforms will have that. I'm still deciding what to do with TikTok. Right now, it's just some pictures of my dog and some behind the scenes stuff. But I have, again, a project I'll be releasing in a couple months, and I may put some behind the scenes footage there. Feel free to join me. Patreon is a way to give back, as I said. Same thing with the membership button. Everyone there with the green text and the special emojis. Thank you so much. Again, you help make all of this possible. A free way to support me is simply to click the thumbs up and the subscribe button. That just lets YouTube know that this is good stuff and shows it to other people. Easy peasy, right? If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @Ashbaugh, and on PayPal, paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. So that wraps it up for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed everything. And again, today was a really special reading, and it was fun reading with the new deck. I hope you guys liked that. Have a great week ahead. Let's see, it's Monday, so I'll be back on Thursday and Friday. I don't have my whole schedule in front of me, but I know Gemini is next. So Gemini and Cancer will be the next 2 signs that I'll be reading for. And I'll be here on Thursday and Friday, and again on Sunday. So if you're ever trying to figure out my schedule, it's almost always Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. And then I have client meetings in the rest of the week, and I do other things. I write, and I have other jobs that I'm kind of working on. I have like 3 different jobs, but my reading schedule is pretty consistent. It's usually the middle portion of the month. It's always, again, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon. Have a great day, great week. If you're in the US, have a great holiday, and I'll see you soon. Okay.